Hey everyone, this is Derterifii, and I'm back for a game review. Shocker, right? After, a year-long hiatus, I come back and the first video I'm doing is part of an oversaturated market, and frankly, I'm okay with that. To be honest, while I don't hate doing commentaries and I have no intention of just dropping them outright, I kind of lost the drive to do them a while ago, and if I'm allowed to be perfectly open about this, my video on Orion was made more out of a feeling like I had to, and less because I actually wanted to. But you guys come here to see me tell people that they're wrong and get angry. Not really to see me do shitty game reviews. So guess what? We're doing a shitty game review. Enjoy. Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery is about you, a student at the school of, as the name implies, Hogwarts. You'll make friends, make enemies, take classes, and learn spells, all the things you'd want to do in the School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, with the added spice of finding out what happened with your older brother who was apparently expelled from the school. Evidently, how you choose to interact with these people impacts how they respond later on, and it all sounds like interesting stuff, and it is, for the most part. The story is intriguing when it's not hitting set pieces just to check off a box or introducing characters more out of a necessity than actual storytelling. The original characters interact just fine with one another, but when you start throwing in characters that are part of the official stories, it gets a bit muddled. Most people who start this game up already have a preconceived notion of what characters like Snape or Hagrid are supposed to be like, but Hogwarts Mystery just seems to take their one major trait and amplifies it to a stupid level. For characters that are only being introduced to us, like Marilla Snyde, that's fine. We haven't grown to love or hate these characters yet. They're blank slates. Snape, on the other hand, isn't. Neither is Hagrid. Actually, let's talk about Miss Snyde for a second. When you make it into Hogwarts, you get to choose which house you're in. Your best friend Rowan gets sorted into that house as well. Marilla Snyde, the one character that hates everything about you and is constantly a thorn in your side, is always Slytherin. Why? Why is Slytherin always painted as the bad house? Because they're cunning? Guys, you don't have to be a total dickbag in order to be in Slytherin. The other two traits that Slytherin is supposed to have are ambition and resourcefulness. None of these three are inherently bad traits at all. So why is it that Slytherin is the only one who gets the shaft and gets stuck with all the losers? It's lazy. It's a cop-out. But I only completed up to Chapter 3. Unfortunately, the game bugged out at me, so after I had completed Chapter 3 and closed it out, I was sent back to the beginning of Chapter 3. I could not progress. And by the time I did finally get the game working properly, my experience with the game had been completely sullied by this incident. I had to go through Chapter 3 4 separate times in the same playthrough. So I have no intention of coming back to this game. But how's the gameplay? You tap things. You tap things. Okay, I know that when discussing a mobile game, that's not necessarily a fair statement to make, as just about every mobile game on the market can be boiled down to you tap things, but at least most other mobile games lend themselves to a more in-depth explanation on how the game is played, like tapping on one side of the screen or the other to platform up a mountain, or tapping in a rhythm to stay on a path, or a slew of other methods of gameplay that is possible within the mobile market. This is just you tap things. But I'll try, so bear with me. In this game, you have an energy meter, performing different tasks across different amounts of energy, and you tap items corresponding to that activity to spend energy towards completing the task. That's the bulk of the game. Occasionally, you'll be asked to draw a line on a predetermined path, answer a multiple choice question, or pick a dialogue option, but from what I've seen, and take this with a grain of salt as I did only complete 3 of the chapters, the choices you make in terms of dialogue don't really hurt or help later in the game. You might see a line or two change, but for the most part scenes largely play the same regardless of previous choices. But let's talk about that energy meter for a moment. It's awful. I hate it. Energy is such a finite resource in this game that it is an absolute miracle to progress in this game after you hit the 10-minute mark. Sure, you get back like 1 point of energy every 4 minutes, but after Chapter 2, the cost of actually doing anything rises up to such an ungodly level to the point that you'll likely run out of energy long before you actually complete the task. And to add insult to injury, these tasks are usually under a time limit. Granted, the ones that I've seen are typically really generous, but they are there, likely to instill some sense of urgency to entice you to spend money on this game. 10 minutes in. If you were spending 1 energy for each attempt at a minigame, with each event being their separate minigame, fine, but that's not what this is.
But Derterifii,
I hear some of you say,
there's nothing new. Mobile games have been doing this forever ago.
While that is true to an extent, as there are mobile games that don't, that doesn't necessarily excuse the practice. It's shady and dumb. It was shady and dumb when it was first implemented, and it still is. When making a game that is designed to entice people to spend additional money, it should be because they want to, not because they feel like they have to in order to make any form of progress, especially in a game where the gameplay can be boiled down to spend X energy to win. Technical design aside, the game does look pretty good for a mobile game. Characters adequately show emotions when they're the center focus, though you do get the occasional dead look on people's faces, particularly when you successfully complete one of your tasks. That said, Hogwarts looks and feels like Hogwarts. Say what you will about the character animations or even the gameplay, the environments, in my opinion, look pretty damn good. Diagon Alley looks like Diagon Alley. The Great Hall feels like a great hall. I would love nothing more than to be able to explore these environments in greater detail, but sadly that's just not something that you can do. Aside from a few set-piece locations, where you can see and go in the castle is rather limited, with exploration typically being restricted to panning to the left or right in the hallway and entering rooms that have been important in previous scenarios. It leaves something to be desired, but at the same time, I feel like the only reason why they were able to cram as much as they could in these environments is because of the limitations. It's not ideal, but you gotta pick your poison, I guess. Unfortunately, character creation leaves something to be desired. Ignoring the fact that most of the options, like the rest of the game, is locked behind an unnecessarily long grind or cash purchases, the options you actually have to customize your character is lacking. I wasn't particularly expecting tons, and you get more here than you do in other mobile games, but glasses? Really? We're looking glasses, something that people actually have, for reasons outside of style, behind a mandatory paywall. There's no real grinding that can be done for this, not reliably anyways, and it just feels arbitrary or even spiteful to someone that wants to make their character more representative of themselves. In its current state, I cannot recommend this game. At all. It's a shameless cash grab that makes its intentions quite apparent within the first 10 minutes, and even if it wasn't, there just isn't enough here. Story is fine, I guess, but when it's a slog to get through, that's hardly a worthwhile point. I'm absolutely sick and tired of developers thinking that shit like this is okay, that throwing a recognizable franchise's name on something will automatically make it a money machine. I'd love to see a decent Hogwarts game that doesn't focus on Harry Potter, but this isn't it. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kinda glad it's getting as much of a backlash as it is, because maybe they'll actually fix it next time.